Sooner, Birdie. My name's Harry James. Welcome to the Kansas State Preview Show. Alright, guys, you ready to get started? Let's get started. Kansas State Sooner stumper right away. Kansas State's beaten Oklahoma in Norman over the last few years, but when's the last time they won in the Little Apple? Kansas State beating Oklahoma in the Little Apple at Kansas State. And here's your hint for you. Remember that starting in 1986, from then on to 2011, they didn't meet every year. In fact, they met every fourth year in Kansas State. 1996, 2000, 2004, 2008. All those were in Kansas State. When's the last time they beat them in the Little Apple? Answer coming up next. Boomer Sooner 1982. Don't go away. Everybody, my name's Harry James. The last time Kansas State beat Oklahoma in the Little Apple was that aforementioned 1996 meeting. They beat them that year, did Kansas State, 42-35 in Kansas State with John Blake and the legendary Bill Snyder. All right, guys, let's talk about the festivities that go around in Norman on game days, home game days. Now, this is not road game days, so this won't include this, but in 2 weeks, when they play Iowa State, there will be festivities aplenty going on, like, WWLS, the sports animals, they are always at O'Connell's, right there in front of there. They got a big train. They got their mobile station set up for you to come to look at it. It's pretty neat. Balfour, Norman, where I got my little Tom Cruise looking sunglasses now. You like them? They're open. It's also where Toby Rowland, Chris Plank, Teddy Lehman, Toby Rowland, all those guys from Sports Talk 1400 do their pregame inside there. So for that. Also, Sooner Fan Fest at the Sooner Fan Fest. That is where the franchise does their pregame. And the Sooner Fan Fest part of it is right there, right in front of the field house at McCaslin. There's a big stage, also tons of food trucks right there for the taking. But that's for the home games, so that won't matter this week because they're at Kansas State, Bill Snyder Stadium, Saturday, October 26th on A, B, and C. 11 a.m. kickoff for the Sooners at the Wildcats. Sooner Radio broadcast, brought to you by Learfield, has the aforementioned Toby Rowland. He's the play-by-play guy. He's from Sports Talk 1400. He calls also, not only is he a sports radio host, also calls football, men's hoops, and baseball games for the Sooner sports properties. Also, up in the booth, color analysts Teddy Lehman, the former linebacker, and the color analyst correspondent Merv Johnson, the coach. On the sidelines, Sports Talk 1400 correspondent, radio host Chris Plank, and from 107 to 7 in Oklahoma City, 107.9 in Tulsa, the franchise players, Gabe Eichard helps him on the sidelines. Sooner history between these two clubs, 99 meetings. Oklahoma actually holds the advantage with a 76 to 19-4 record. That is 79% winning clip. Last time the Kansas State Wildcats won a game in the series was back in 2014. Remember that one? 31-30 with Trevor Knight, quarterback. But the Sooners did win 4 years later. Last time out, actually, was the last time they met. 51-14 was the final in Storm and Norman. The Sooners head coach Lincoln Riley, in his third year in charge of the Crimson and Cream, was a quarterback at Texas Tech in 2002 and was a student assistant also at Tech from 03 to 05. As a coach in Norman, Lincoln has a 31-4 record in 35 games in charge of the Schooner Sooners, and that is an 86% winning clip. But the downside, it does include an 0-2 bowl game record, but it's not all bad because those were two pretty good teams, both making the college football playoff. 2018 was a good year for the Sooners. They won 12 games that year, last season, 12-2, 8-1 in league play, first in the Big 12. They got revenge over that one conference loss to Texas. They got that one in the Big 12 championship over Texas in Arlington, 39-27 over Texas. Their outstate rival. They got invited to the college football playoff, where they lost to Alabama, 45-34. The Sooners bowl division titles. Sorry, they have 8 divisional titles in 12 divisional titles actually in overall. 2000, 2002, 03, 04, 06, 07, 08, and 010. They also, those are 8. 9 and 10 actually, they do not include this, but that's 8. 9 and 10 are actually the last two, 2017 and 2018. Now remember, they don't include those because those weren't really divisional titles. All those were just first and second place, but Oklahoma was first place both years, 17 and 18. And it looks like they're probably either going to be 1 or 2 also in 19. And I'll say this for you too. Make your plans now. I've already tried to do that, trying to find a place in Arlington to sleep and stay, because it looks like Baylor thinks that they might also be there. So all the hotel rooms are already filling up because it looks like Oklahoma and Baylor are going to run away with this conference. Just a little side note for you. Speaking of running away with the conference, the Sooners have 12 conference titles in the era. 2000, 2002, 04, 06, 07, 08, 2010, 12, 2012, 2015, 16, 17, and 18. What if they were to add 2019, guys? Wouldn't that be cool? Though they're on their way to it. In 2019 with a 7-0 overall record and 4-0 in the league. The 7-0 and 4-0 in the league record does include a 49-31 win over Houston to start the season. They then took care of South Dakota 40-14 with a win there. At UCLA 48-14, taking care of business there. They then took care of Texas Tech in the battle for Lincoln Riley's. OU's part of the Riley won that one 55-16. They then went on the road into Lawrence and got a big 45-20 win there over Kansas. Then headed to the Cotton Bowl, the original Cotton Bowl, to face Texas. Got the best of Texas, 34-17 with a victory there. And then just yesterday, took care of West Virginia, 52-14 win there. Finally, the offensive and defensive production for the Sooners. Offensive production, first in points allowed offensively and first in points per game offensively. First with the points, 50.4 points. That's first in the NCAA in scoring. Also first in the NCAA in yardage are the Sooners with 612.9 yards per ball game. Boom. Sooner baby. And Ben the Grincher. He's a mean one. Mr. Grinch. He's teaching the team how to be mean on defense. Allowing just 19.4 points per ball game. That sounds like a lot, but in the Big 12, it's not really a lot. In fact, it's 36th best in the country as far as points are allowed. Yards per game is at 327.6, which is 49th best in the country. Top 50, baby. How about them apples? The Sooner defense is in the top 50 in points allowed and in yards allowed. That's pretty good. They will be facing the Kansas State Wildcats. Chris Kleiben, his first year in charge of the Purple and Gray. He's a 1990 grad from Northern Iowa. At Northern Iowa and Kansas State. And one other school, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Loras, L-O-R-A-S, Loras, was there in 2005. North Dakota State in 2014 to 2018, part of the FCS family. And then Kansas State from 29 to present. With all that being said, he has played 91 games with a 76-15 record. That's 83.5% completion, winning percentage. And college football playoff, FCS playoff appearances. Get this, guys. 19 appearances in those games, 18-1, and 3 straight FCS national championships. That's a lot. Just saying. Last season for Kansas State, 5-7, 3-6 in league play, 7th best in the country. They tied with Oklahoma State and Texas Tech, both at 5-7. Oklahoma State was the 5-win team to get the bowl invite, so Kansas State was not applicable in the bowl championship in the bowl system last year. 4 divisional titles in the Big 12 for Kansas State, 1998, 1999, 2000, and 2003. Now, the 1999, they tied that one with Nebraska, but Nebraska won the outright title that season with the tiebreaker. And, of course, as you guys remember, they beat Texas that year, did Nebraska. They do have, though, they did get invited to 2 of those conference championships, or 3 of them, actually. And you know what? They have 2 conference titles in that era, 2003 and 2012. Sooner fans might remember both of those. The 2012 game, of course, was the game that Blake Bell dropped the football. And the 2003 game was kind of the game that, let's just say it's the last time we played LSU. Ugh. That was that year. Remember that? Well, 2019, not those kind of conference championship seasons, but a good team. 4-2, 1-2 in Big 12 action. Played his old buddies from the FCS with a Nicholls State to start off the season to Kansas State. Got them 49-17. They then shut out Bowling Green 42-0. Won that one. And then went on the road into big, bad SEC country and found a way to win that one by a touchdown at Mississippi State, 31-24. Then the wheels came off the wagons for the Wildcats, losing to Oklahoma State 26-13. They then lost to Baylor in Manhattan 31-12. They did bounce back, however, yesterday against TCU at home, 24-17 victory there. 2019 offensive stats and defensive stats for Kansas State. Points per game average, 30.2 points per ball game averaging for TCU. That is 108th in the country. And yards per game, 369.0. That is 167th in yardage per ball game in the country. Defensively, they allow 18.7 points per ball game. That's 32nd best in the country for points allowed. They do allow a ton of yards. Yards allowed per ball game is at 347.7. That is 69th in the nation. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Next up, we'll do a Kansas State review and a college pick'em, but no preview next week. The Sooners will be off next week as they prep for Iowa State. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. You can catch this and all my videos on YouTube, Boomer Sooner 1982. Also on Facebook, Harry James Taylor, or on Twitter at Hype Man Harry. All right, guys. It's been a blast. Till next time, guys. See you later, and Boomer Sooner, everybody. I'm out of here. Peace.